roofing companies. And last week, for example, a young man that I was working with a couple weeks ago was kind of struggling. I talked him up a little bit, told him he's got what it takes to do it. He's going to have a breakthrough. He went out and he got his breakthrough a couple days later and sent me a text message with a picture. And to me, that's really why I'm doing this at this point. I want to.
What's going on, everyone? Justin Ledford here, your host of Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we teach you how to build wealth through construction, ownership, and knowledge. We do this by interviewing all kinds of cool people who've done the same thing you're trying to do, that are ahead of you, and who are experts in their field. Today we have a special guest named Chuck Allen, who's one of the owners of Rio Blanco Roofing, as well as runs his own podcast over at Rio Podcast. And if you listen all the way to the end, you'll learn how he uses fun events to keep his sales team engaged. Let's go.
Thanks, Justin. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
You're very welcome, man. Let's go back on memory road a little bit. Talk to our audience. How did you get into construction? How did you get into roofing and insurance restoration?
Ground drops by hand. When I first got into the industry, I moved up and I started driving the conveyor trucks, doing the roof loads. And I actually did roof loads for about 12 years. So I put in my time on the labor side for sure. But in 2010, I got an opportunity which really kind of changed my life. And that was to go with the company that I'd been with there, P&W Roofing Supply in Columbus. And they were opening a branch in Charlotte, North Carolina. So they gave me the opportunity to actually go down, open the branch, manage it for a little while, find out that really wasn't my thing and that I wasn't really an indoor kind of guy. And then I just kind of randomly ended up in Texas and I haven't left. I've been here for almost 10 years now. Started in College Station. I was working with the roofing company in sales for about 6.5 years. And then in January of 2019, I got the opportunity to switch over. I went to work for ASAP Roofing and Construction, which is Rio Blanco's parent company, over in East Texas. I was actually in the Indianapolis, Indiana office. But through all that stuff, got the opportunity a couple months in for Rio Blanco. It was a business that had gone under. And the owners of ASAP and myself have resurrected Rio Blanco Roofing. We've rebranded it. And now we've gotten not just our San Antonio office, which I'm in a brand new office right now. We were able to outgrow our first rendition, but we put an office in Tyler, Texas and College Station as well. So it's been quite the journey. Started as a truck driver, ended up as the owner of 3 branches right now, and hoping that we can continue moving forward with that because it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome, man. Now, regarding the 3 branches, I'm personally an investor myself. I'm the CEO of this company, but I take the profits and I invest it in real estate. Do y'all rent those locations, or are y'all planning on buying them, or have you already bought them?
Well, with Rio Blanco being as new as it is, obviously we started off with what was already established, and it was just a tiny little two-room office over here by the San Antonio airport. As we've expanded, we've put our offices into some pretty strategic locations, high visibility in both College Station and Tyler. Both are rentals right now because we're still trying to, get our footing underneath us. To go from being out of business completely to 3 locations running and thriving is pretty stressful enough. So we're going to focus on that for a little bit and, see how everything plays out. But it's been a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Now, regarding some of the biggest lessons you've learned going from sales to ownership, what are some of those lessons you could share with other CEOs of construction companies that you wish you would have known earlier?
For sure. When I was in sales, I obviously did not understand how the business aspect of anything worked. It was always just kind of a me. If I could maximize what I was making, everything was fine. And sometimes it was at the expense of the company. Sometimes I took on jobs as a sales rep that were more liability than I would probably do now. Now that I understand what happens, in those situations when things go wrong. So I think it's really just kind of changed my mindset from that aspect. Obviously I'm still a salesman at heart, and the only way that you're going to get anything going in business is to go out and sell stuff. So I keep that part close. I don't sell full time anymore, but that was the most shocking lesson to me, I guess, was somebody has to pay for the stuff, and when you start figuring out that it's you start to look at things a little bit differently, I guess. Don't live as lavish.
Right, right. You have your ideal client, you know the red flag clients, you know which ones and the comments that they say you're like, I don't necessarily want to work with that client. Whereas a
Yeah, right.
sales rep's just like, no, I just want my commission. Let's close that deal. But we know better now.
Yeah, I've been in
So
situations where I've sat and I've actually had people say, I'm going to sue this contractor, or this guy sucked and I don't ever want to work with him. And you realize now, okay, they're going to say the same thing about you after the fact. So now you're smart about it, and it changes a lot. That's for sure. My life is less stressful than it was as a sales rep, believe it or not, because we do preach that lesson very strong here at Rio Blanco.
I love it. What would you say has been one of your biggest successes in life and in business?
Honestly, I think just the whole journey has been amazing. It's really kind of weird. Like I said, I think I've got a unique path that nobody else has taken. Doing the labor for all those years really helped me appreciate what the roofing crews go through on that side of things. I know how heavy a bundle of shingles is because I've carried probably more than anybody that my roofing crew's ever known. I understand how working outside can, take its toll. Moving on into the other side of things, I now understand how all the back end stuff works on the business side of contracting through the distribution. And I understand how rebates and pricing and all that stuff are structured. So it's been an amazing journey. And I think really the 24 years has been my biggest accomplishment because I've learned so much that I never would have dreamt that I could have ever even possibly known. And I'll be honest, I've made it way further than I thought I would in life. So I think this is just, the whole thing has been an absolute, it's been a huge win for me since day one. I've loved every minute of it.
When I first met you at an event, you were radiant, you were excited, you were happy, but I could tell you were kind of out of breath. I'm changing
Fat.
topics now. Yeah, there you go. You were overweight. And I'm changing topics now because this is the first time I've seen you in, I don't know, probably over a year. And what is your daily routine? Listen up, contractors. If you're out of breath when you get home, if you're tired when you after a long days of work, Chuck, what are you doing? Because you're glowing, you look healthy, you look like you've lost 50, 60 pounds. What's going on, man?
It's like closer to 80 right now. But to be honest, what I love the most about our industry is the fellowship that you can have with people all across the country, all over the world. And the truth of the matter is we were doing a conference for our organization at our corporate office in Tyler, Texas, back in September of 2020, about 18 months ago. And the headshot that I took made me just absolutely sick. I posted it on my Facebook a couple of days ago with a current picture, because the dude's face was like probably this big, right? Didn't even look like me. And I looked at that picture and it made me sick. And I thought, man, I'm going to stand up in front of a bunch of people looking like this. And I let myself go. So I committed to doing it. I started really working with a lot of people in our industry for accountability. Like, for example, there's a gentleman named Diego Dante. He's doing a 100-mile running challenge this month. And I just joined it for accountability purposes. I'm actually in second place right now in the whole thing, but it just gave me something, and I know that people in the industry that are your friends that are trying to help boost you up, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to motivate you. So I've surrounded myself with winners, which, it made me just have to be a better version of me because I want to fit in. You're the sum of the five people you're around. I went from, a pretty good crowd to an elite crowd, and you've got to be at elite status to do that. So
That's incredible, man. I might want to tag along and get in that three-way text with that 100-mile running race thing you're a part of because, men, we need to be lions. We need to be gladiators for our families. We need to be Spartan. There's too many men that are snowflakes, that are pushovers, that don't have dreams and goals and ambitions, that get stuck in the status quo. And it's cool that you are breaking that barrier, that you're shooting towards a better version of yourself and always going after that. And I strive for accountability, and I'm always seeking it. So I'll connect with you on that. I do want to know what inspires you.
I think at this point, it's kind of changed over the years. It's been a moving target. What's your why? I mean, a lot of times I don't even know, to be honest. I think about it and it's like, well, that's kind of a weird one, but it's always just been something that I've picked up on at certain points that it's just kind of led me to where I'm at. I'm inspired right now, honestly, by helping grow this organization. I love taking people that are young, that are in their early 20s, and teaching them what I've learned over the last 20 plus years and accelerating that growth for them so that we've got kids in our organization. I shouldn't even call them kids. That's very disrespectful. We've got men in our organization that are 20 and 21 years old that run their own branches, that are very successful, that are, multi-million dollar branches of a very successful roofing company. And I'm very proud of the fact that that's what we do here at Rio Blanco, at ASAP, our entire organization. We are a personal development company, and I say this all the time, that just happens to do roofs. We do amazing roofs. We're awesome. But the fact of the matter is, every other roofing company does roofs too. So what separates us is that we're personal development. We want to help develop leaders. We want to continue to grow and change people's lives. And I get a lot of calls from people all over the country just saying thank you. I do consultations for roofing companies. And last week, for example, a young man that I was working with a couple weeks ago was kind of struggling. I talked him up a little bit, told him he's got what it takes to do it. He's going to have a breakthrough. He went out and he got his breakthrough a couple of days later and sent me a text message with a picture. And to me, that's really why I'm doing this at this point. I want to help other people. I want to change lives. It's never been about the money. It was always about fun. And this is still it's the most fun job in the world. Don't tell anybody, but it's amazing. But I think changing lives is what I was put here to do. And I think being a positive person in our industry is, I think that's what's most important to me right now. And I'll be honest, I don't want to veer too far off topic, but a friend of mine in the industry just passed away a couple of days ago. And this is really where I got this from, is this gentleman's name was Ben Menchaca. And I don't know if you know Ben or not. Everybody does. Yeah. But he was a guy that reached out to me just randomly, and he would just send me a message and say something like, thank you for just being you. I see what you're doing. And when you realize that you're impacting people, that's kind of what, that's what gets me going. That's why I get up and throw the energy suit on and come out and do the best I can for my team, because I want to help everybody be better. And, I can't help but get better along the way doing that. Right.
Yeah. When you teach it, you really learn it. And it's speaking, rest in peace to Ben. He was a great person and he was an influencer within this industry. And, his heart, he led with his heart. There's so many people that have reached out, and I've seen so many different posts about him. He really did care. He was an OG in this industry. So I appreciate you bringing him up, and that's definitely not off topic, because we need more people like that. That's what this is about. I created Real Construction Owners Podcast to reach out to other owners, to connect with people, to teach people how to build wealth in the construction industry, and to hold each other accountable, because we need accountability. I'm a part of different masterminds, and without that accountability, this wouldn't have started. This started because of that accountability. So moving forward, I want to ask you, what is a goal that you or your company is working on that currently at this moment in time?
Well, we're working on quite a few things. The cool thing about our organization is we've got a lot of moving parts. A lot of different businesses are intertwined. We've got a social media branding company that does video content for us that's absolutely amazing. We've got a conference. We do conferences. We go and do retreats and things like that. So everything that we've got going in the organization is all kind of leading towards the same thing. For me, with Rio Blanco right now, we're 3 years into our second existence as it is. I'm focusing this year on our solar division, which we just opened up with our parent company. I want to get a footprint in solar. I want to help people with that. And I'm also looking to maybe get a little bit more involved in commercial roofing for our organization, Rio Blanco. As far as me personally, I'm just going to keep getting better. Every single day, I want to be better than I was the day before. And I want to help as many people as I possibly can and just enjoy life. I'm also looking to get some sponsors for my podcast. I know we're on your podcast right now, but I'm looking to get some sponsors for mine and continue mine as well, because I've got the Keeping It Rio podcast kind of rolling, and I'm enjoying that. So I want to maybe make something of that as well that can be beneficial. And if any of that nonsense can help anybody, then it's all worth it, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you're like me. It's all about impacting and contributing, because if you keep giving, you're going to keep thriving. It's like the universal law. You can't keep taking, you can't keep digging out of a well and expect it to keep giving. You have to give back in order for things to grow. I love that. So let's talk about building and challenges of building in your business. What are some of the obstacles that you're facing currently in today's post COVID society?
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, in the roofing industry, it's like everything else. It's unpredictable. We were fortunate to be, necessary. So we didn't really take a huge hit when COVID hit and everybody was staying home. We were still able to work. We were able to expand our company through that, which was kind of a miraculous deal. Right now, though, I think we're still trying to get back to where people have work ethics. I hate to be so blunt about it, but I'm having a hard time finding decent people to come work that actually want to come and actually put in the work and be part of something special.
That brings out a good point. Talk to us about your number one best recruiting strategy, because there's contractors out there in plumbing, there's contractors out there in electrical that listen to this, not necessarily roofing. It's for construction owners, and they've never recruited anybody. It's just them and their son. What's a technique that you do for recruiting?
Well, for us, what I like to focus on is we're a service industry, obviously, and we're detail oriented. The one thing that the homeowner is going to remember is those details that don't have anything to do with the actual roof installation. You swept for nails, you walked around the flower beds and things like that. So what I've come to find is you need to go find people like that, right? So we like to go out to eat. We go to lunch 5-6 days a week. But we don't go to fast food restaurants. We go to high-end seafoods, high-end steakhouses, things like that, where people are trained and they focus more on the service aspect rather than, just getting your stuff to you fast and seeing if you need ketchup with your order. That served us well because that mindset it's super important. The personality that people have in those restaurants, they're used to talking to higher level clients. They're used to talking to folks who are willing to spend money. And that's what we're looking for, right? We want to work with the homeowners that want to work with us, that are going to give us appealing projects. So I find that people like that. My first sales rep I hired was a bartender. He's now the branch manager of my office, and he pulls in probably 15 to 20 self-generated leads a week, just off those contacts. So that's the kind of guys that I'm looking to put in here. I'm bringing in people that are service oriented. We go out to eat and I take business cards with me, and I always make sure I hand out at least one business card a day to somebody somewhere along the line, whether it be at the car wash, whether it be at the restaurant for lunch, somebody that helps you at the mall, or even at the grocery store, wherever. People's personalities are what I try to hire. You can train whatever skills you need, especially for roofing sales. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's roofing sales. There's not a whole lot to it. You can learn about people and you'll be just fine. So I hire intangibles. I go recruiting in places where people that are going to attract the clients that I want and people that can talk to those people are going to be. And that's served us fairly well. I'd like to get more of that going, obviously, but that's my strategy for recruiting. Go to good places and hire good people.
Love it. Love it. So unpacking that a little bit, you're intentional about your lunches. You're intentional about your outings. You have cards and you're ready. You have a conversation or some type of template that you're going to say to these people. What is that template? What is that conversation? If you were to share that with people who've never recruited somebody.
Yeah, definitely. The other day, for example, we were at a very nice seafood restaurant. My branch manager and I were having lunch, and we always look around and we're trying to see who's doing what in the place and anybody that stands out. Well, our server was outstanding that day. And what really separated him was the fact that I was getting unsweet tea. Even though I'm in Texas, I drink unsweet tea. That's how I lost all the weight, by the way. Sweet tea was delicious, but it was also it was kind of big for me. So I get the little packet of Sweet and Low or whatever. This guy was coming behind me and he was filling my drink from over my shoulder. And then he was going around and getting the packet and he was placing it by my drink. And to me, that was just kind of a unique detail that I would have never expected. So as soon as he walked away from the table, Jeremy and I looked at each other and was like, "Hey man, did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, we did." So when he comes back, we struck up a conversation. "Hey, how long have you been doing this? You're doing a great job. You're very personable. Have you ever thought about doing anything else? How long have you been doing this? What kind of situation do you have? We came to find out our waiter had 2 children. He's got a baby on the way. He's been doing this for 5 years, but he's also looking to get into something else. So now the opportunity presents itself to where we say, hey, I own a roofing company. We do solar. We do a lot of, high-end projects and things like that. And there's a lot of good opportunities to make good money if you're willing to put in the work. And, we just kind of pique their interest. We give them a card. Hey, think about it. If you want to do something, part-time, or just come in and see what it's all about, give us a call. And you just start spinning those wheels in their head. And, once you tell someone, hey, you can make 5 times more money out here selling one roof than you do in 2 or 3 days doing what you're doing, it gets attention. And that's how we've recruited our best people so far. I haven't had much luck recruiting from other roofing companies. I always tend to get people with bad habits.
So you go in there intentional, you compliment them, you find out where they're at, and you see, if what they have is going to give them what they're looking for, and then you give them an offer. That's smart. A lot of people are scared to do that, but I have heard so many stories of good recruits coming from that. In fact, one of my top sales girls used to be my daughter's babysitter. She would come in, and my wife hired the girl, and I did just that. I complimented her at the end of the day. I found out, what we're paying her. I found out, is this what she wants to do for the next couple of years? And I asked her if she was looking for another way to make an income. She said, yeah, I'm open. And I told her about, how we own a roofing company as well. And that girl's killing it. She closed. She just got back from an all paid for vacation to Tulum. She paid for with the money she made with our company. And she's never made that kind of money doing anything before and selling solar deals. Like, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Moving topics to another gear, let's talk about subcontractors and workers. What are ways or techniques, the top technique that you do to find good painters or a good roofer or a good gutter guy?
I've been very fortunate over the years that when I was working for other companies, I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of those folks through that. When I moved on and got my own business, a lot of them reached out to me because I treated them well over the years. I was always respectful of our crews. I'd bring them Gatorade. I'd buy them lunch. I'd post a Facebook post saying how great they are, or thanking them. Or, I'd stay and help clean up at night. And the respect factor was there to the point where anybody that's worth anything at this point reaches out to me, and I can kind of pick and choose. That was a very, very luxurious thing I had in College Station. When I came to San Antonio, it's a little different, but I've got people that know people, right? And Jeremy, my manager, he was a bartender. He somehow knows a guy that's great at gutters, who knows a guy that's great at sheetrock. Next thing you know, we've got it all covered. I work with, 3 or 4 really outstanding subs, and that's all. I don't want to oversaturate it. I don't want to put too many people in because I want to make sure we maintain that quality level. But it was just through personal relationships the entire way. I think if I didn't know those guys, I probably would have a lot more, I'd have a lot more heartaches and pains from the first 3 years of the business. I'm sure I'd have a lot more warranty calls trying to, ease myself into that process and find a team to work with. But I've just been very fortunate. My years in the industry have made it to where people know who I am, and I put myself out on social media like crazy. So all the roofing crews know what's up, and they reach out to me so I can pick and choose from the best of the best. I like to work with the ones that are all family oriented, a little bit older. I don't like my crews that carry on. My guys are very quiet. They're family. They don't smoke, drink, cuss, anything like that. They go out, they get the job done. They're respectful. And, that's the most important aspect of this business, which I think a lot of owners always tend to overlook, is we can go sell jobs. We can tell everybody how great we are, but unless we're up there putting the shingles on, and at this age, I'm not doing that. We have to rely on good quality people, and we have to be able to trust that they're going to have our best interests at heart. So to me, just building those personal relationships, that respect. And again, it goes back to the years that I spent in the field. I'm not like a sales rep. New sales reps come in the industry and they instantly just start saying, well, these guys are lazy. They're not working fast enough. They should do this. It's 150 degrees on the roof. And, Mr. Brand new salesman, you're welcome to get up there. But the fact is, you wouldn't be able to hang up there for 2 minutes. So
Nope.
once people learn that, it's a different story. I came in knowing it because of the years of hard work and dedication. And I have had no problem getting good subs. I have gotten a couple that were not as great as I'd like, and we just filter them out. But we've been pretty good. Our company has a great reputation. Our culture speaks for itself, and the good people want to come work for us.
Love it. Love it. So, a couple other topics regarding marketing. I know that you do a lot of this online. What are some strategies that you're implementing in your marketing through social media or telemarketing? What are some things that you do that generate business for you guys besides knocking doors?
Well, I mean, we have K Socialized Media, which is in our organization. That is a social media branding firm that does social media branding content for roofing companies across the United States. Being a part of the organization, Rio Blanco was kind of gifted with K Socialized in Rio, started up at about the same time. So we've grown together kind of parallel. And we've always kind of been the test ground for things. You know, when we want to try new video programs or we want to do new content, the Rio Blanco team is always available because the exposure is tremendous, right? So we've got that going. We do a ton of content. We've got our Keeping It Rio podcast, which is obviously directly relative to our company through the name. But we just brand ourselves. We put ourselves out there. My social media is insane. You know, I probably post 15 or 20 times a day just to keep it going, to keep it fresh. And like we were saying earlier, marketing right now is just about differentiation. Anybody can go on camera and say, hey, we do free roof inspections. Hey, we can do, you know, whatever. We'll work with your insurance company, or free this or free that, or whatever. We're all putting the same things on the roofs. We're all doing the same kind of work. So there's really not a whole lot extra you can do to really separate from, you know, you can only be so good. So that's what brands us, is just our personalities. We do a lot of goofy videos. We did one that was Mario and Luigi. That's why I've got this little thing behind me here, kind of a joke, where we were dressed up as Mario and Luigi and we're sword fighting with lightsabers out in the middle of a field. We've redone the Office Space video where they smashed that printer, but we were dressed as Santa Claus and his elves.
Nice.
Just stuff like that. You want to personalize this. You want people to know who you are as a person, to see that you really care. And, you know, just to say, hey, those guys look fun. They're having a great time. They get a ton of 5-star reviews. Why wouldn't I want to work with them? And to me, this is the greatest form of marketing on the planet. When I started Rio Blanco, I literally had never been to San Antonio in my life. I didn't know a human being here. And my first way to get in the door was I friend requested 1,500 people under the San Antonio, Texas search. That's how I got Rio Blanco started, honestly, Justin. I did a couple social media things. I started putting myself out there, and I can thank that for where I'm sitting today. So we focus a lot of attention on it. We focus a ton on that. We've got SEO companies. We've got, you know, you name it, we have it. That's the beauty of my company, is I was able to kind of get into a situation where I get to work with a much larger company, ASAP Roofing, who has locations all over the country. And I get to utilize their systems and processes. I get to use their benefits, and it's made my company a lot bigger, at least, you know, appearing a lot bigger than it really is, because I've got professionals that do it for me. I've got social media consultants that post for all my pages for us every day. We've got video content coming out all the time as well. So to me, it's the best thing you can do. I think people, they said during COVID, we're spending like 8 hours a day on their screens. If you see my face 8 hours a day, hey, you know, when it's time to think about a roof, you're gonna know Chuck at Rio Blanco, just because that guy's crazy and he puts himself out there all the time.
I love it. Seems like y'all got it dialed in. You delegated it, you assigned somebody to do it, and that's why it's actually getting done. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Consistency
is key, right?
On a more serious note, what's one of the riskiest jobs you guys have ever taken on? And what mental breakthrough did you have after getting it done?
That's awesome, because this really just happened within probably about the last 2 weeks. The most risky job we've taken on as Rio Blanco thus far, not myself in my career, but as the company owner with the company, we just did a fairly high profile project in College Station that's right on campus. It's a restaurant, very well known. We got everything taken care of. We took it to the PA. We got them, taken care of appropriately. They got everything that they were supposed to have, but it's in a very high traffic area. We've got dumpsters. We had cranes coming up there. We had AC units coming off and going back on. And we took the air conditioner off. We found out that the curb for the new one wasn't correct. So we had to modify it. We had to jump out there and do all this stuff. As we're tearing the roof off, there's a 0% chance of rain. Starts raining. What are you going to do? It's a commercial building. We've got it open, completely exposed. It rained for 1 minute. That's all it took. 1 minute. We got a little bit of water inside, but we sprung to action. We took care of everything. It's all resolved. The property owner was super impressed with the way that we handled it. But, you start getting into these commercial jobs. The first 3 years, we were really focused on residential. My riskiest job was probably a metal roof before this, but you get into the commercial stuff and it takes on a whole new meaning. But really the breakthrough for me was I hired someone to be my production supervisor. I've always been extremely hands-on to the point where I believe I annoy people. I would be annoyed by me if I was working in a situation like that, because I always just want to know what's going on. So I made a promise to myself that I was not going to appear at this job site for the entire duration of the job. I've kept my word, except for one moment. I did drive by on Saturday morning just to kind of take a quick peek, make sure everything was clean. But I'm proud of myself because I didn't know that I had the capability, but my project manager handled everything from start to finish. It went off without a hitch. I found, okay, we can do this. And I've got the people in place that I can trust, that I know are going to have our company's best interests at heart. Here we go. So that was just, I think we still got to paint the ceiling in the interior of one of the rooms of that building, but that was very recent. That's the most risky one we've done since Rio Blanco. And that's the one that I've learned the most from, because now I know we can go to that level. And now we're going to start shooting for more jobs up there. The 6-figure jobs are a lot better than the 4 and 5 figure ones for sure.
Your opportunity is the door, and you have people doing all the stuff within your opportunity. I love it. Love it.
It's key. So, if you try to do it all yourself, you're gonna fade away. You can't do it. So I learned that lesson the hard way. I almost, lost my mind for a while there, and you realize, hey, you can only do so much. If I want to do 20 million and my best year ever is 3 million, how am I going to do 20 million? I need to find people that can help me get to where I'm going. And that was the most valuable lesson I've learned, not just in business, but in life.
20 million. How are you going to do that?
It's our parent company, ASAP Roofing, in their 4th year, went from a startup in basically a storage facility to a $20 million company. So I saw them do it in East Texas. I've got some very attractive markets. I've got College Station, which is very lucrative. I've got San Antonio, which is very good for solar and roofing. And I've got Tyler, which, Tyler, Texas, any number of things can go on there, and that can blow up at any time. So I think we're just going to continue our systems and processes. We're going to continue to build our team outward and then upward. And I'm probably going to add maybe 2 or 3 more branches before it's all said and done. But 20 million, I think, is a reasonable goal. We might end up doing 120 before it's all said and done. We might never end up getting to 20, but that's where I'm shooting for now. And I think we've got everything infrastructure wise set to make it happen. We've got everything in place, and we've already done it once with ASAP. So why not, right? If it doesn't get replicated, it's because of the one non-common factor, which is me. And I'm not looking for that to be the thing. So
I think you're going to get to it, man. I think you're going to do it because you've already got the processes. You've got multiple branches. It sounds like, are y'all doing it to where everything's decentralized in one office, and that all the paperwork comes in there, the production manual handles it all in that one office? Or does each office have its own production and service and growth department?
We've still kind of got it set to where each one is running sort of individually. Each manager is kind of taking care of their production as we speak, but I've put someone in place, like I said, that's going to optimize that. We hired an office manager who works in our office over in Tyler. So all correspondence goes directly through her. She can divvy out everything. All the phone calls go direct to that office so that she can oversee everything. But as far as the production goes, we still are kind of fine tuning that a little bit. We're going to get to the point where everything is just across the board the same and everybody just does the same process. But, anytime you're doing something, you have to test out little things and see what works. And we're kind of in the reinvention phase of that as we speak.
It sounds like you're doing the right things. 20 million isn't far away if you just keep focused and keep going. Chuck,
Absolutely.
I want to
That's the plan.
ask you, how can our listeners get involved with what you're doing? How can they reach out to you if they're looking for a new opportunity? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure. We're looking to fill opportunities in all of our offices, College Station, San Antonio, and Tyler. I'm easy to get a hold of on Facebook, Chuck Allen, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Chuck Allen, Rio Blanco Roofing. We've got our podcast, Keeping It Rio, which we do live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to touch base with me, Chuck at rioblancoroofing.com. Like I say, Messenger, anything. I'm very easy to get a hold of.
Right on, Chuck. I appreciate you so much for being on the Real Construction Owners Podcast, the show where we teach contractors how to build wealth through construction. I appreciate you, bro. I'm going to be in touch about that 100-mile accountability you talked about.
Absolutely, my friend. I appreciate the opportunity today, Justin. Thanks for having me on. I know this is one of the early episodes of your show, so I wish you the very best. And we'll have to do this again someday. Maybe we can trade appearances, and maybe I can have you on mine at some stage down the road.
Let's go. Have a good day, bro.
All right, buddy. Thank you.